Good morning from Bali. This is a 10-minute-ish flow. Sometimes it goes a little bit over because it's nice to feel into the body. And there's one side might be a little bit longer. These movements are a little bit longer-ish. Feel free to pause the video at any point if you get to a pose and you're like, wow, this feels really good. Just press pause and then, stay in there and then press play again. Also, play some music in the background for you, whatever gets you in that nice kind of like flow state. This one is basically to try to open up the hips and the shoulders. It's only 10 minutes, so it's not like we'll be able to go through a big warm up, but it's just a nice thing to do to kind of do an overall body warm up. So first thing you'll do is starting in a lunge. You can have your left leg forward, then your right leg back. So starting onto this lower body part. And I prefer having the top of the foot when I push down and engage the knee up. But if you prefer having the toes, because I know it can be quite a lot if you're not used to frequently move. So knee up and down. And as you move up and down, you really engage that butt cheek. So your right butt cheek if your left leg is forward. And then you might even do some back and forward. Good. Nothing fancy. Step the leg back, other leg forward. So same thing, lifting up and down. This one is one of those sensations that is like painfully good. I also like to call it productive pain, where you're like, oh, I can feel a lot. I'm really at my end range, but it feels nice. Your body is receptive. Then same thing, slightly forward and back, forward and back. Good, and then grab a seat. You will stack one leg on top of the other. So it's nice to get the hips to open up first to get proper hip flexions. We have 3 major hip flexor. So when the glutes are tight or even when your side butt are tight, you can really limit your body's ability to go into hip extension. You can pull it forward and up, forward and up. And again, meet yourself where you're at. I'm just here sharing kind of like a few poses together. But ultimately, if you kind of tapping more into static, then go for it. If you're feeling more of that dynamic work, as in moving, go ahead and change legs. I'm not sure if I said that. Okay. Last one. Okay, and then from here, let's get the hip into a slight internal rotation. So you'll take that 90-90 shape, focusing on the back leg. So what you'll do is anchor that knee onto the ground and then just lift this foot up. Good. And down. Going through range first for 5. Good. 4. Nice. 3. 2. Good. And 1. Keep the foot up. Then use your hand and get the foot a little bit higher. And then when you're here, release and try to hold it. You'll really feel the side butt and TFL kind of activate. Good. And then release. Switch your legs. And what's nice, I'm not using a mat. I'm using, I guess, a carpet that is like a mat. But if you align yourself with the edges, it kind of helps to set up the hips. But don't feel attached to having the hip be at 90. For those of you that are more flexible, then get the knee a little bit further back. And then up and down for 5. 4. And when you let go of the foot, don't just slam it on the floor. Try to control the entire movement. Good. Last one. Use your hand, get the foot higher, and then hold. Last 10. Good. Sorry, traffic outside. All right. So next thing that you will do is come back into your lunge. If you have sensitive knees like I do, then go ahead and bend your mat or grab a cushion or something. And then from here, take a lunge. All right. And we'll begin to move with the arm. So the right arm is going to come up overhead. Big circle all the way back. Good. Form more like this. Reach up, open, and then down. And you can place your left hand on your thigh on the ground or elevated. Got it. Now keep the arm up. And then from here, you'll rotate. So add a little bit of thoracic rotation. This really helps with your back bend. This is Chuck, by the way. Hey, Chuck. Hello. Oh. Hi. He's cute. And then release and switch your legs. Other leg forward. Good. And then again, big circles. And every time you circle, try to stay low through the pelvis and really push that back foot into the floor, feeling that glute engage. Last one. Good. And then here, rotate. Moving through the upper thoracic. You can place your hands on the ground, but I have this mic, so I have a feeling if I do that, it's going to make that weird sound. So I'm just going to go here, but you have the option to go a little bit further down. All right. And then release. Okay, now next thing you're going to do is get yourself onto your belly and getting into the pecs and a little bit of rotation. So next thing you will do is have the right arm out, and then from here you'll stack the left hip on top of the right. And then the left hand is kind of like your guide. So if you want to open up the chest more, you can push your chest open. And I know I'm not looking into the camera, but hopefully my voice is clear enough and you can see what I'm doing. And then here, push your right arm into the floor, and you might already feel a bigger stretch in the pecs. And then try to isometrically push upwards overhead. And isometric is when you're not actually moving, but there's an activation in that area. So kind of push upwards. And then pull the arm downwards. And you should essentially feel a difference in the pecs as you do so. Great. From here, come back to neutral. And then switch sides. Arm at 90-ish. And what I mean by 90 is like really elbows in line with the shoulder. And then go ahead and stack the right hip on top of the left. So for me, my left side, I'm getting here now, and I can feel the difference in tightness compared to my right one. I don't have any injuries or anything like that. I'm not sure. It might have been from doing acro or something like that. And then keep activating your arm, your elbow and your hand into the floor. And then you can pull upwards isometrically again. Breathing into the chest. Good, and then pull the elbow down and back. Good, and release. All right. The next one is probably one of my favorite ones, where you get the elbows onto the floor and the hands are in prayer. This is really good for the triceps. Where you don't want to feel it though is at the top of the shoulders. So if you do, then really try to shrug the shoulders. And once you're there, try to get the head completely through and on the ground. And then actively push your hands into your upper spine, your upper thoracic. And then pull the elbow into the floor and hug the ribs in. And essentially, it should help you feel a stretch in the triceps. Okay. Now extend your right arm. And this one's can feel a little bit odd if you're not used to doing this kind of more like organic movement. But what you'll do is extend the right arm and then do whatever you want with your left arm. But what you're going to try to do is open up and close to the right side. And this one is really nice to help target the lats. So when you have tight lats, it really limits your shoulder flexion and your ability to get into a back bend. And then once you find that spot, see I'm moving my hips around very organically. kind of ambiguous, but hopefully it'll make so much sense once you get there. And you want to feel a stretch essentially from the armpit all the way to the right hip. And then the breath can be a really good tool to help lengthen the fascia and kind of like bring space between the intercostal muscles and just letting that whole lateral line expand. Good. And then, it's nice. Other side. Usually when I'm coaching, I don't demo much just because I do a lot of classes a day. So it's nice to be doing it with you. And then I also get a bit of a stretch. And same thing, orient your hips. Keep locking out the elbow. Keep shrugging the shoulder up towards the ears. And then orient your hips so that you can feel the stretch from the armpit all the way to the hip bone. And then using the breath. Good. Let me just move this mic again. All right, and then get into your downward facing dog. Really shrugging through the shoulders here. And then the legs, so that it doesn't become a hamstring stretch, but rather just opening through the shoulder. So whatever you do, don't let the arm bones go into internal rotation. Keep them rolled into external, so the crease of the elbow facing upwards. And then every time you exhale, try to get the chest towards the floor. And if this is too much, you can also do it onto your knees and you're looking forward. Okay, and then finishing off with a camel. Hands at the hips, really engaging through those glutes. Chest lifts up, inhale. Then as you exhale, begin to back bend. Maybe your right hand can find your foot. And then getting the left arm into extension, arm up overhead. And keep reaching away like you're trying to break up with your hip. And then the skin here on the front is going to be a lot more under tension. Okay, switch sides. You should not feel this in your lower back. You should add only into the hip flexors and here. So if you do, then don't go as far down. You might have just like a regression, keeping the hands onto the hips. Good. And then release and grab a seat. And if you feel somewhat warmed up, then you can keep playing around with those, the camels. If you have wheel or any other back bends that you're working on, this should be enough to kind of get you there now. So thanks for joining. If you have anything else that you'd like for me to teach, I would love to hear from you. And yeah, see you soon.